Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by SoundCloud Studios, brought to you by our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson's Missing, available on Amazon, coming soon, Missing 2 on Amazon by Mia Molson Zia. Double the suspense, double the fun. Check it out on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by eLimna, think tank of the future. The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David, now available on Amazon. And High 10 Music, check out the latest at high10music.com. We're here with a terrific lady who's a Brazilian-born singer-songwriter fusing Americana with South American percussion. She's a New Jersey-based artist of Spectra Music. Began her career running around with an instrument in her hand. Mom is a church choir songbird, and her dad is a self-taught musician. Officially in 2010, as a singer, she began as a guitarist, later evolving into 2018 with Couch Fables, and also has some other releases like Black Eyed Susan's Way, and also Sinners and Believers. And she'll be featuring her latest Ice House with a couple of songs. We'll be playing at the end of the audio interview. Live, ladies and gentlemen, plus twos in beautiful downtown New Jersey, somewhere along the northwest side, the amazing Brazilian-born, New Jersey-based singer-songwriter fusing Americana with South American percussion with Ice House from Spectra Music, the amazing, multi-talented, the Red Betty. The Red Betty, I just want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Betty, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for supporting the album. It's so great to be here. Looking forward to spending some time and talking through the new album and, everything that we can peel off.
Well, pretty much a lot of things too. And looking forward to that. You're Brazilian-born, New Jersey-based singer-songwriter fusing Americana with South American percussion. You began your career running around with an instrument in your hand. Your mom was a church songbird, and your dad is a self-taught musician. And you started in 2010 as a singer, evolving to 2018 as a guitarist. And you did Couch Fables. You also had Black Eyed Susan's Way, Sinners and Believers, also Two-Bit Sermon, and House of a Broken Heart. And you got your new release called Ice House from Spectra Music. We'll be talking about Raisin Glasses, 6 Feet Under Love. And before getting all that, tell us how you first got started.
Sure. Music has been in my blood. My grew up with mom and dad, music in the house all the time. Mom was, in church choir. I was in church choir as a yay high. And dad was, a nightlife player. So almost the best of both worlds, right? I got the gospel side of things from mom and a love for blues and percussion from dad. So fantastic mix there and everything in between. So growing up, music was my way of relating to the world. There was always lyrics that I wanted to learn and, moments in time that are really uh, peppered with a soundtrack. And all my friends, they laugh because they say to me that I have a soundtrack for life, for, every part of my life. I have some music I can relate to. So that's really how I got started. From there, I learned to play the guitar, just gigged around some, just dive bars and open mics and how every musician starts, right? We all have our Jim Morrison moment, right? Back to the stage, say, let me sing my song and let me get out of here, the panic. And then you mature and you evolve and you relate to the crowd, start telling stories, and then it becomes the opposite, right? They want you to sing the song and stop telling stories right away, right? Learned a lot of songs, played some, and all of a sudden, after playing a lot of other people's music, and guitar has always been my go-to. My father built his own guitars. He played his own guitar,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Amazing. So he built
So
his own, didn't buy him or anything like that. He built his own.
no, he built his own, and he was very passionate about it. And so guitar was always been the instrument I could relate to the most. And after playing a lot of other people's music, what sparked my interest was storytelling, especially blues and gospel, right? And if you go into the Americana and the roots, the whole roots genre, what always sparked my interest was the storytelling behind it, right? I mean, people telling you stories that you can relate to. And so after that, after learning other people's music and playing some and gigging some, I've decided to have an interest in how can you marry the music that you love, the sound, that beautiful sound, to telling what you want to say and having people relate to that story. And that became a little bit of a journey for me, of discovering myself and figuring out what I wanted to say and being vulnerable. Because I think that being a singer-songwriter, one of the biggest challenges is tapping into that vulnerability and being able to say, this is my story. I'm going to put it out there, judge me, and you're not going to be for everybody. So that's really what my journey has been, from evolving from a little kid with an instrument in their hands and playing in a church choir to learning to play an instrument and playing other people's songs and appreciating every genre of music, and then wanting to tell my stories and share my stories with others.
And besides sharing stories and everything else like that, what else do you base your lyrics on?
Well, I think that, vulnerability it's important, right? I mean, my first album, Couch Fables, which was the first studio album, was truly to it was an introduction of who I am to others, right? There were stories of where I grew up and, growing up in Brazil and what my family was about. It was very personal, but
Mm,
also it was a vessel to show people that no matter where you are in the world, you can relate to one another. And the second album was a little more mature in a sense that I tapped into vulnerability a bit more. I took a deep look into relationships as a whole, right? We've all gone through it, right? Our breakups and, successes and not such successful times in relationships. And I go through all the facets in the relationships in this album, right? We talk about grief, we talk about the revenge side of it, we talk about, the happiness, we talk about the longing, and I think that for me was the maturing, the next step in that journey as a singer-songwriter. So it was really taking a look at what, and it's an honest look, right? What has the love life, the relationship life has been for me. Can other people relate to that? Has it been really that different from other people? So very personal, but also very relatable, right? Some of us,
mm.
when you go through a breakup, for instance, right? We
Or it's like it's not you, it's me type of deal nowadays.
Exactly. And there's all facets of it. When you go through a breakup, right? And it doesn't have to be necessarily a breakup. It could be just a loss, right? I mean, if you go through a divorce or if you go through, a death in the family, it's all that grieving process that relationships really bring, right? First, you're in denial, then you were angry, and you angry with yourself, you angry with the other person, and it's human emotions. And I think that is really what makes this second album so relatable and so interesting, because we've all gone through it one way or the other, right, in
Yeah.
our life. And some of us adapt well and move on quickly. Others spend the next 40 years looking for our fourth grade boyfriend that broke our heart on social media and trying to get
Yeah.
revenge.
Yeah. Thank you, Facebook. I gotta say that. Thank you.
Exactly. So there is definitely something for everybody, whether you are that person who moved on and was okay, or that person who is still clinging on to something that happened 30 years ago. There is something for everybody in this new album. So
And certainly does as well too. And we'll talk about the latest Ice Outs and her journey on the road here with Gabby Glenn at the Red Betty. But first, listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com. It's powered by SoundWeb Studios. Visit online at SoundWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget, Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support at SonicWebStudios.com. Mention Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studio, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Molson-Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, 1 target, where truth is illusion and those who love be the first go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Molson-Zia has gone great reviews, and even loved and enjoyed by Howard celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and Minos. So grab your copy today for Girls Missing by Mia Molson-Zia, available on Amazon. Coming soon to Amazon, Missing 2 by Mia Molson-Zia. Double suspense, double the fun. Check it out, coming soon to Amazon. Also, Mike Wagner's Show is brought to you by Illuminatively, think tank of the future, bringing scientists and engineers getting lower from all over the world, creating a method to construct a renewable generator. This unique product operates on a closed loop system, generating more energy internally that needs to function. The electricity can be used to run everything from homes, power grids, phones, laptops, and this power source is renewable, highly scalable, and most importantly, self-regenerating. Visit facebook.com/elumniptical. That's ELLUMENIPTICAL today. Also, Mike Wagner Show is brought to you by Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David and his 30 exquisite paintings and King David's Psalms. Sweet Psalmist gives a new perspective of David through the Psalms he wrote and his time as a shepherd where it started and his complicated yet turbulent relationship with King Saul. It's a story of love, betrayal, repentance, hope, and more. Check out The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner on Amazon. Keyword Sweet Psalmist, Serena Wagner. Also brought to you by High Time Music, featuring the smash hit Baby Come Back. Check out new music coming soon to hightimemusic.com. Also, The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com, 40 podcast platforms, heard in all 100 countries. Take us with you on any mobile device, Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, Anchor, BitChute, Rumble, LinkedIn. Make sure you subscribe to all the channels. We greatly appreciate. And for great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast, t-shirts, pop sockets, throw pillows, tote bags, hoodies. Makes great gifts 24/7. Go to Amazon.com. Check out the Mike Wagner Show podcast. If you're interested in merchandise, email me, the Mike Wagner Show at gmail.com, and we'll send you links. And for more great gift ideas, Amazon.com/Mia Moslenzia for great books, merchandise, and more, and support the Mike Wagner Show on Anchor FM, PayPal, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. We're here with the amazing Red Betty of Spectra Music and talking about Ice House here on the Mike Wagner Show. Before we get to your latest release and in depth on some of the songs you talk about going from Brazil to New Jersey, tell us more about your journey.
Well, after school, I did some traveling and decided that I wanted to just go to a place where I had a little bit more freedom to express what I wanted to express. Ended up meeting friends and band members who lived here, and it was time to leave the nest, right? I finished college in Brazil and then traveled some and then, landed here. And one of the great things about being here, and it's an interesting experience because coming in as, and this is such a great country because it's just such a welcoming country, right? And they welcomed me and my music with open arms. And one of the things that struck me the most was the freedom that I had to express myself here in Brazil. And it was interesting because when I left Brazil right after college, it was truly to express, to explore music. But it was when a lot of my favorite bands in Brazil were having the music fusion and they were traveling, they were bringing in this worldly fusion. And for me, that was so interesting to be able to have that experience and go out and, just see who you wanted to see. And so I had a list of American artists that I wanted to come and see perform live and who had influenced my music from an early age. And a lot of blues folks and things that in Brazil were still very young, right? We didn't have a lot of blues and jazz clubs that were very accessible at that time. And I knew that, traveling and coming to the US especially, I could, go to Chicago and spend a week in Chicago and it kind of take in the blues, right? And just really go through a club and all of that. And so
Yes.
Yeah, and I did some of that. And I had a wonderful group of friends who played with me some and were band members when we're, music lovers also who wanted to travel, who graduated with me, and we've done just that. And again, we landed in United States, and this was just such an open and a friendly and a welcoming experience that we ended up staying. And it was the evolution of starting music in Brazil and getting that fusion experience, and then traveling some, and then coming to a country where we could really express and grow and mature the music that we had started to make.
Mm-hmm. And certainly you have a lot of experience with it. And who are some of your favorite artists, singers, songwriters, musicians growing up, especially in Brazil, and also especially in America as well? Who are some of your favorites growing up?
Sure. I mean, Brazil is very known for bossa nova, right? So if you go back into, when Tom Jobim and Frank Sinatra did their bit together, but Brazil is all about percussion. If you look at our carnival, right, which is our version of the Mardi Gras and Mardi Gras, it's all about percussion, and it's so visceral. And for me, growing up in Brazil was truly all about percussion. It's something that you feel it in your body. The ground shakes when you're out there with a bunch of percussion and carnival. And so a lot of the true roots Brazilian country singers and songwriters were my upbringing, right? Along with the blues. And again, Brazilian music growing up was also very influenced by American music as we started to discover the fusion, right? Paul Simon went down to Brazil and did that beautiful bit, right, with the percussion of one of the biggest Margra just groups in Brazil, and it was absolutely beautiful. But for me, on the blues side, moving towards roots was always where my heart was. So early in my career, like early on, I remember, and this is a good story, right? Just a teenager working at Blockbuster, my first job, and
Oh yeah, I
yeah,
remember the
yeah, some of the newer
blockbusters. I
generation,
still have
yeah,
that card
I
somewhere.
do too. I do.
And,
And some of the newer generation won't even know what Blockbuster is, but
and nobody knows how to rewind these days. It's like, be kind,
exactly.
please rewind. Yeah.
Exactly. So first job at Blockbuster, I had a day off, went out. There was a record store right next to the Blockbuster that I worked at. And I walked into this record store, and there was this unbelievable musician of just this woman who was ripping the blues guitar. And I'm thinking, who is that? And it so happened to be Joanna Connor, who,
Really?
yeah, and that was my first record was
Oh
Joanna
my goodness.
Connor. And so I, through my love for her and getting to know her music, I went down the BB King road, the Muddy Waters road. And then from there, kind of expanded into from blues to Americana. So you talk about Brandy Carlisle and gosh, now a new one, Sierra Farrow. I absolutely love her, right? The Nelsons, I call them, like Willie Nelson and Lucas Nelson, and then full on country, because I realized, and that was my aha moment, is that for me, the roots Americana country genre had everything I ever hoped for, which was the beauty of the blues sound with the storytelling. And that for me was such an aha moment, because I said, wow, this is what Americana roots and country is all about, is you telling your story, but you have that beautiful blues soul behind it. And it was, for me, it was the aha moment. But in terms of influences from your old countries, from Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, to all my blues favorites, Joanna Connor and Buddy Waters and Buddy Guy, Buddy Waters. Um, so many of them. And then the more current singer-songwriters, Brandy Carlisle, and on the countryside, you have Miranda Lambert, who for me has been such a fantastic person to watch, right? She's gone from the girl next door to this very mature singer-songwriter who transcended genres. I mean, she's collaborated with so many people, right? And Chris Stapleton. And so there are so many incredible singer-songwriters out there, and they've all kind of fueled my love for the genre.
Oh my gosh, that is rich in tradition. I gotta say that you guys have rich tradition, history, and everything. And you also create your own as well too. And you talked about couch fables, and maybe a bit more about that. I know you talked about a little bit of it, and maybe a bit more about couch fables.
Yeah, well, Couch Fables, again, it was my first studio album. It was my first experience with going into a studio and really writing songs and collaborating with other musicians. Obviously, I wrote the guitar parts, but really understanding how to sound or create a sound that we were all happy with, and that really relayed the stories I wanted to tell. Couch Fables is truly about where I come from and who I am, and what my family dynamic was, who made me become who I became. There is a song like Generations, right? It talks about three generations of incredible women. It's my grandmother who didn't own a pair of shoes in her life. She was a descendant of Brazilian Indians. And, like she was this incredible wealth of love and kindness and, just understanding and appreciation for nature and for life. And then from there it goes to my mom, who was again the same, but raised three children in from the crazy political environment in Brazil all the way through, the modern times, and
Uh-huh.
coming from a very, and I mean, and we were all, it took me a long time and Couch Fables was really a vessel for that, to understand that I've always been a country girl, no matter what country I was in Brazil. Yeah, it's just so funny because in Brazil, my memories are memories growing up. I grew up in a city, but my grandparents came from the ranchers. My mom grew up in a part of Brazil that is comparable to deep Mississippi, where they have their own little language, right? I had words in my house in Brazil where some of my city friends didn't know what that meant. So that was really what Couch Fable was all about, was me peeling off my own layers and my own, you know, ability to just say, this is me, welcome to my life and how I grew up, and and just an ode to being a country girl in two different countries.
How do you like that? And this also merges into Ice House. We'll talk more about that with the Red Betty. You're listening to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Songwriter Studios, brought to you by official sponsor of The Mike Wagner Show, international warring author Mia Moses is Missing. Also brought to you by Lumifico, think tank of the future. The Sweet Psalmist by Serena Wagner, based on the life of King David, on Amazon, and High Time Music. Check out the latest at hightimemusic.com. We'll be back with the amazing Red Betty of Ice House after this time out. We're back to the amazing Red Betty of Spectra Music with Ice House here on the Mike Wagner Show. And of course, we'll be playing two of the songs at the end of the audio interview, Raise Them Glasses and 6 Feet Under Love. And speaking of that, let's talk about Raise Them Glasses and tell us more about that one.
Sure. Raising Glasses is such a fun song. And every time that song is played in any setting, it's, people raising their glasses. And it's truly an ode to self-love, right? It's understand exactly, raising glasses, right? It's an ode to self-love. It's understanding that life isn't always easy, right? I mean, sometimes there are bumps in the road, but if you believe in yourself, if you love yourself, if you know your worth, if you know your value, you'll be okay. And you should always celebrate who you are, right? And your victories. Don't get hung up on the bumps on the road. Just celebrate the victories. And any victory is a good victory, as small as they are, right?
You got that right. And it also had Black Eyed Susan's Way. You also have Sinners and Believers, Two Bit Sermon, and House of a Broken Heart. Tell us more about those.
Sure. Black Eyed Susan's Way, such a special song. It's actually a semi-finalist in the International Songwriters Contest.
Nice.
In 2024, which is such an honor. And it was Black Eyed Susan it's about life in general, right? Sometimes we all struggle through life. This was actually, I wrote it for a very special friend who it's sort of a sad song. It's a sad song. I mean, a special friend who is no longer with us. And he struggled with depression, as we all from time to time can, right? I mean, life can get hard and we can get overwhelmed. And Black Eyed Susan is an ode to people who struggle. And sometimes we don't see them, right? If you think about Black Eyed Susan, the flower, it's such a bright flower and has that little just black middle, but we don't pay
Uh-huh.
attention to that. We pay attention to the brightness around. And oftentimes the happiest people around us are going through struggles that we don't know, and it's always nice to be there for your friends. So Black Eyed Susan is all about, don't be ashamed to ask for help. Sometimes life gets too hard, but ask for help. and there will always be somebody around able to help you. It's, don't feel like you're alone. It's yeah, it's a beautiful. It's sad, but it is very reflective of the times. It's actually, especially after COVID, where we were all kind of cooped up at home, right? And we isolated ourselves a little bit. It's a lot of folks really kind of struggled with the isolation and whatnot, and felt that, I know that I'm a very social person, and I missed my friends like crazy, not being able to go out and interact, and it was hard. And I know that hit some folks harder than others. My friend who's this song is for, unfortunately for him, it was a very hard journey, but this was really a legacy in a way to say to everybody, just be out there, and there's always somebody to help you out. The other songs, Sinners and Believers, again, is a fun little song about the truth in life, right? The truth that sometimes we try to ignore, but we can't, is that people are who they are, right? Sinners are going to sin. There's like, that's what the chorus is. Sinners are going to sin, believers are going to believe. So you are who you are, and sometimes you have to take things at face value. We sometimes want to sugarcoat, especially in relationships, right? Sometimes you're with somebody who may not be great for you. You're in a situation where they may not be great for you, but you sugarcoat things because you're thinking about how you want things to be, not how things really
Or,
are.
or, or you think things will change, he'll improve, and
Right,
everything like that. I totally understand whatsoever. You think, you might bring something
right.
out of him or the best, and I totally understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just a matter of saying sometimes you have to put on your big girl pants or your big boy pants and just look at things, take things at face value, right? But it is an upbeat song. It's a song that just takes that with a little bit of lightness, and just because it is a bit of a heavy subject to say, take things at face value, but it is a bit of a on the lighter side. And 6 Feet Under Love is one of my very, very personal favorites because it's such a true love song, right? It's about just loving somebody so much, and sometimes knowing that that's not meant to be, right? And you have to walk away or you have to move away, but you can still have love in your heart for that person. And it's hard to walk away from somebody you love, from a situation where you think it's going to last forever, right? And it kind of taps into what you and I were talking about earlier, right? Sometimes it's a divorce, sometimes it's a breakup, sometimes it's just, a loved one that passed away and you weren't ready for that. And it's just keeping that love with you no matter the circumstance. And it's
Hmm.
just a true old school country song that really brings me back to the first, country songs I've heard. Think of your Dolly Partons and your Tanya Tuckers of the world, right? I mean, just all that longing that's in their songs.
Right, exactly. And also two-bit sermon. I think I wasn't sure we covered that. Two-bit sermon.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Sermon, and it's actually definitely an ode to my mom, right? I mean, that is meant to, it's again just part of saying, life is, you're here in this world, you walk in this earth once. Make the best of it, right? Make good choices when you can. And it doesn't mean that you don't have fun, but know your choices. And I did it in a way, it was such a fun song to write because it's meant to almost be like you're in a gospel sermon, right? I mean, most of the song is a spoken song, and you have a couple of parts that are really just sung, but for the most part is just a little bit of, you know, just unsolicited advice about what life is going. And remember, you're here once, so make the
Hmm.
most of it and do it in the way that you're never going to regret it.
That is very good point right there. And if there's other music we have not covered or you haven't released, feel free to talk about those.
No, I think that we covered everything. And again, it's such a treat to be able to share about the album. I'm so excited about Ice House. I mean, Couch Fables too, but I think Ice House is such a vulnerable album, very personal, but I think that is so relatable because there is something for everybody. right? If you're looking for a love song, if you're looking for more of an upbeat song like Raise Them Glasses, if you're out there, just to celebrate yourself, if you're out there to get a little bit of unsolicited life advice, there's Two-Bit Sermon for you. Sinners and believers will tell you, hey, don't believe everything you see, right? Or you hear.
Right, exactly. Yes.
Exactly.
I know how that goes. Yes. And where can we find all your music at?
Yeah, well, we're everywhere. So, thanks to Spectra. So, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Deezer. So all the major streaming platforms, you can find Ice House out there, Amazon. So it's out there, and I hope that you guys get to hear it, that you get to experience it. It's again it's an album that I'm so proud of, that I am eager to share with
Hmm.
whatever whatever the preference is. Everybody has a platform that they prefer, right?
Hmm.
And they can find Ice House there.
And what's your website so people get a hold of your
Sure.
works?
It's www.theredbettyband.com.
TheRedBettyBand.com. We'll certainly
Right.
check that out. Here the amazing the Red Betty, Gabby Glenn here, the Mike Wagner Show, occurs at Spectra Music with Ice House and just a few more things. What else can we expect me in 2025 and beyond?
Well, just making the album known. Just wanted to be able to share the album as much as I can. So, working on some, live shows and some, videos, and just making sure that I can just share the album and do what I love, which is to perform and to, have people enjoy it with me. And then from there, just let's see where this takes us, right? There's always more music to be had. And, us singer-songwriters, and I'm sure you hear that, more often than not from your singer-songwriters, we never stop, right? Music, just we're always working. We're on the road and whatnot. There's always a little notepad, and I still do music the old-fashioned way. Notepad and a little tape recorder. Some of the kids don't even know what a tape recorder is
Or,
about.
or, or like, what's this? What's this? What's that?
Exactly.
Tape? What is this thing? Just
Exactly.
like Blockbuster. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things to Google for the new generation, right? Blockbuster and tapes and whatnot. But I still do that. And so I would say I'm excited right now. The immediate plan is I'm excited to bring Ice House to as many venues, as many places, as many listeners, as many supporters. And the goal here is to have people hear and hopefully relate to these very vulnerable songs.
Okay, we'll certainly check that out and we'll see to it as well. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
The biggest influence in my career from a musical perspective, so many. I would say definitely Joanna Connor. She sparked my first thought of, wow, girls can do that. Like they can play the guitar like boys can. They can
Hmm.
write music like boys can. So from that perspective, yes. From a support system, definitely my family. Like they've been incredible, from mom just being okay with, you know, me leaving the choir to go write my own music and to pick up a guitar and to, love the hair bands and go after all of that.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Right. And we've all done that, right? It's just followed some hair band in the 80s or the 90s. So, yeah, so my family for sure, brothers and sisters and my parents, my friends who've been an incredible support system, and my fans who have really, really have shown me that it's okay to be vulnerable, and it's they're so supportive and they're so fantastic. So yeah, a lot of influences, and Spectra obviously. And I have to say, if I can take a little bit of time to talk a little bit about Spectra, it's been for an indie artist, right? It's such, as you know, such a hard career, because we're up against so many of the big industry machines, and
Hmm.
partnering with Spectra has been so fantastic because all that fear that a singer-songwriter has of having to be put into that box, right? Of this is what the industry requires right now. Spectra throws it out the window and they celebrate the artists for who they are. They really allow you to be creative, to be who you are. And so again, another big influence. So for music, definitely Joe Connor, other blues on the countryside, many of the new folks, but I like the old school uh, country folks to talk about Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash,
Hmm.
Waylon Jennings, who was one of the first guitar songs I ever learned to play was a Waylon Jennings song.
Oh, wow,
It,
amazing.
yeah, yeah. So it's I've been very blessed with a lot of good, positive influences in my life.
Certainly a lot of it as well. You've got a great amount of them. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Follow your dreams. Follow your dreams. Believe in yourself. And don't be afraid to show who you are, right? Don't change who you are to please people. Just have people come to you and get to know you and love you for who you are. So that's the best advice I could be. Be your authentic self. I think that's the best way to maybe put it.
I think that is a really good piece of advice as well. We're here at the amazing Red Betty of Ice House on Spectra Music and Mike Wagner Show. Will be playing Raise Them Glasses and 6 Feet Under Love on the audio version. Make sure we encourage everybody to go to that. And Betty, just want to say a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. We'll love to have you back. Once again, what's your website? How do people contact you? Where can people purchase or check out your music?
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for having me, for supporting the album. It's been such a pleasure to spend some time with you. And yeah, if you go to my website, www.theredbettyband.com, you can find all the information there. You can also go to the spectre.com website, and all my information is there as well. So you can find your streams, and you can find your videos, you can find how to contact me, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great. And we're looking forward to that. Once again, Betty, a very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Keep in touch. Laugh, have you back. We wish all best. And Betty of the Red Page, just want to say you definitely have a great future ahead.
Thank you so much. Good to talk to you.